FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is 10/17/19. Well, economy, it said that a rising economic tide lifts all boats. That has certainly been the case for this economy concerning female employment, female entrepreneurs, as well as minorities. All of them, employment is way up from its trough. The Trump economy truly is that rising economic tide. So the question is it Trump? Is it the just natural economic forces, animal spirits, if you will? Well, let's find out the answer to that. We've got Rose Tennent on with us now. You can find Rose over at Rose Unplugged, just like ClaptonUnplugged.com. That's her site. Rose, we're glad to have you on. So have you been one of those female entrepreneurs that has personally benefited from the Trump economy?
Well, I can tell you that I have worked with a lot of female entrepreneurs, and they are very pleased with the economy. You know, there's so many things I want to tell you about. Let's do some numbers first, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. With over 6 million new jobs created in the last 2.5 years, half of those jobs went to women, which is great. And I'm happy, too, that the other half went to men, because we love men and we want to see them working just as much as we do women.
Yeah, but, well, you know, I wonder, don't mean to interrupt, I wonder how the 57 genders on Facebook have fared, but I guess that's a discussion for another time.
It might be, but I can tell you that there were 600,000 women that were lifted out of poverty, too, in about the same time period. So, you know, when we look at those numbers and we consider, too, you know, it's interesting because we were told that America's best days are behind her, that the most we could expect was 1 to 1.5% growth. We were told that we wouldn't even see manufacturing jobs come back, and yet we've seen over 500,000 manufacturing jobs return since this administration. So clearly they were wrong, the doomsayers, and clearly this economy is, and the pro-growth economic policies are creating an environment that is allowing people to thrive, and that we want people to thrive. And as you said, it will lift all boats. And that makes me happy, because that means we're putting people to work, our neighbors, our relatives, our children, you know, and that's exciting news.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you attribute it to? Is it Trump's genius here? Is it just the economic cycle? I mean, how did this come about?
I believe it's his genius. I believe that whenever this president makes a deal, he does so with the American people in mind. When other politics make deals, they do so just to make you any promise they can and forget about it until the next election. This man is, I don't see him as a politician. I don't see him as a Republican or Democrat, quite frankly. He's not an ideologue. He's just someone who wanted to come in, who believed, because of his experience and his success, that he could make some things right. And he has. We have seen the lowest historic lows for African-American unemployment, historic lows for Hispanic unemployment, youth unemployment, and female unemployment are close to 50-year lows. So when he makes deals, he does it with the American people in mind. He wants us to do well. And I love that. I love that he wants all of us to do well. So I do think it has a lot to do with his understanding of how growth happens, and also his pro-growth economic policies. All of that combined, I believe, is what we're seeing the effects of right now.
Mm-hmm. So how long do you think this can go on? Can it go on much longer? We've had a 10-year economic, I guess you would say, recovery, for lack of a better term, but expansion. And historically, they just don't last that long.
Historically, they don't. But I think as long as this man is in the White House, I believe that we'll continue to see growth. And already, it's interesting because I just came off of a trip to Indianapolis, where we had the first ever trade show for manufacturers who are dedicated to producing and sourcing their materials in the United States. So, and these guys take this pretty seriously, madeinamerica.com. You have, everything must be made right here domestically. So I had a chance to talk to some of the manufacturers, and what I found was interesting. I asked them about the trade wars, the so-called trade wars, and they said, the media would have you believe, and the left would have you believe, that these came out of the clear blue, and that it was a shock and a surprise to American manufacturers. That's not the case. I'm told that these people saw this on the horizon, and they began 3 years ago, even a little further back, to make plans to begin sourcing materials here in the U.S. And two really cool things happened as a result. One, if there wasn't already a business producing those materials, providing that, they were springing up. Two, the small businesses that were doing it, their businesses started improving. So I think that as we go and we're telling people that the words "Made in America" means something again, and globally it's beginning to mean something too. So I think that as long as we continue to support those manufacturers who are dedicated to making their products and sourcing them here in America, we're going to see continued growth. Interestingly enough, the products that they are buying are becoming even more competitive because now more and more people are dedicated to doing that. And it's really one of the most patriotic things you can do is buy American made, because you're keeping your neighbor, your relatives, your children working. So I think it's just great all the way around. And I love the effects that we're seeing of that right now.
Yeah. So do you think that this is solely attributed to Trump, though? Is it really his brilliance? I mean, the economy was getting better somewhat before he arrived on the scene, wasn't it?
I don't think that there's anything anyone did prior to this. When you throw your hands up in the air and say, these jobs aren't coming back, you throw your hands up in the air and say, we can only expect a 1 to 1.5% growth. I frankly believe that it has a lot to do with the policies that have been. And look, this is a business-friendly president. Quite frankly, he has created an environment for these businesses. Whether it's some tax relief, whether it's perks for them, he has created an environment that is business-friendly. I think he has a heart for the businessman and woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think you're right about that, and he certainly is pro-business. And just look at the number of regulations that he's disposed of, right? I mean, a lot, right?
Yeah, because he promised us that he would get rid of, for every one new regulation, he'd get rid of 2. Guess what? He's gotten rid of more than 2. That ratio has changed drastically. So, yeah, I mean, that helps. You know that. And I grew up in a family where both my father and mother owned their own businesses, and I know how much that helps. Look, when you decide to open up a business, when you decide to manufacture something here, you're sacrificing so much, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears go into that business. I remember most of our conversations at the dinner table were centered around the business, the ups and downs, and even listen, my dad designed certain aspects of steel mills, and I remember how sad I felt when they started closing those mills here in Pittsburgh. And it was, it's not an easy thing to do, to decide to become an entrepreneur, to decide that you're going to employ people, give them, good wages and a job that they could depend on and benefits. And then having things, there were times that the payroll went out, but not for us, you know what I mean? But for the employees. So, yeah, it's not easy. So, I mean, I think that this president does really understand what goes into that decision and that continued commitment to providing jobs to other Americans and a product to other Americans. And then take it a step further when you've got manufacturers who are committed, and it's not easy, it's stressful at times. Sure. But they're committed to making their products here domestically. I mean, it's not easy.
No, there's nothing easy in life. Hey, so
appreciate a president that understands all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so tell us somebody you know personally who's really benefited, a female entrepreneur or someone who was unemployed.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Financial Survival Network is brought to you today by Orin Resources, a junior exploration company with the appetite of a major. It's hot on the trail of the next globally significant discovery, creating enormous potential upside for you, the shareholder. Orin is one of the most aggressive exploration companies pursuing high-grade, scalable gold and copper deposits and has a premier 7-project portfolio, including its 2 flagships, Committee Bay in the Arctic and Sombrero in Peru. Orin's unparalleled technical team and highly experienced management has a history of success in advancing and monetizing exploration assets. No wonder Orin's been called one of the best in the junior exploration sector. Orin trades on the TSX and the NYSE under AUG. To learn more, go to orinresources.com. That's AURYN resources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Well, I can tell you that I met several women at the trade show, and a lot of them have told me that they felt that not only have they been blessed, and that was their word exactly. This is Amedex. They created a stain remover that is environmentally safe, and it's and here's something interesting too. Her name is Beverly Darcy, and she has committed to sourcing everything she needs and the ingredients for her stain remover here because she can't trust what's going to come in from overseas. And she wants to make sure that she continues to provide for her customers the best quality, the safest quality ingredients that she can. But she told me, and these are her words, that this economy right now that's been created and caused her business to thrive, she's happy for herself, but she's also happy for her customers too, that she can continue to provide this great product. By the way, her product actually takes a Sharpie stain out, if you can believe it. It's the only product that does on the market.
What's the name of this product here? You might as well give her a little promotion here because I'm going to get some. What's it
There
called?
you go. It's Amedex. And now it's available, I believe, in Home Depot and on Amazon, Amodex, Amedex.
Really?
So, and there's just so many women. Another woman told me that she's committed to sourcing now, even though it's cost her a little more money. Her product, she's made a product that you could store and transport baked goods. But listen, if you're a mom out there, you know how tough it is. You're asked, school parties, can you make cupcakes? Try transporting a couple dozen cupcakes without, ruining the integrity of the icing. It's almost impossible. She came up with a way to do this. She's in Florida. Her company is Baker's Stow and Go. Now, she told me that, she hears horror stories from other manufacturers. They get their products or materials come in from overseas, damaged, delayed, purchase orders get lost. She knows this. She can trust the people, and she has quality products coming from those that she sources with here in the States. So, just so many good stories, and they're all very grateful for the economy and the environment that's been created.
Yeah, that's excellent. We love to hear happy stories like that.
Yes.
And it's good for everyone. For assuming President Trump is fortunate enough to win a second term, what would you like to see him do to further help entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs in particular?
I think just keep doing what you're doing, and be mindful of the regulations for sure. And I think that I don't think that his heart's going to change towards that entrepreneur out there because he understands the struggles and the things that they need to overcome. And and by the way, I'd like to plug too, MadeInAmerica.com, because these are people that really are dedicated to supporting and helping manufacturers out there as much as they can. So MadeInAmerica.com is a great organization. I was so very fortunate to be asked to be their spokesperson going into the first ever trade show. So I want to give them a plug. And also RoseUnplugged.com too while you're at it.
Yeah, well, hey, we're all about plugging our guests. So, and there'll be a link in the show notes to this interview. So, Rose, what are your plans now for the foreseeable future, assuming that Trump is reelected? What are you going to be doing?
Listen, for the next year, that's why I've been on the road I'm finally home, thank God, for 6 weeks in a row. And I'm happy to say that I am on the advisory board for Lara Trump's Women for Trump Coalition. And I have been speaking to women all across the country. And I love meeting the women out there. And, it's interesting because more and more women are telling me they are unashamed now to let people know that they support this president and will do so again in 2020. So my goal is to continue to get out there and talk to women and talk to them about the reasons that I support this president and why I believe they should as well. So that's my commitment for the next year.
All right. Well, that's excellent. Good to hear that. And I wouldn't go wearing your MAGA cap in Minneapolis or in Manhattan in Times Square. But short of that, and don't put a bumper sticker on because they're just going to key your car.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah, it's disgusting. But, that's the world in which we live. But I think that is going to change also as certain things become obvious to the population. But maybe call me an optimist, and certainly I am. But I do believe that attitudes in the country are going to change. I think we're at the tail end of this resistance nonsense. And hey, my opinion, you should resist every politician until proven otherwise, because they're not to be trusted. I don't know if you've been watching the debates, and I don't want to get overly political, but without naming names, have you seen one policy come out from this crop of whatever you want to call them that is beneficial to female entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general? One
Not
policy.
At all.
Yeah, me neither. If anything, they want to decrease business activity. And look, businesses have done a lot of things wrong before, especially these large multinationals. They only act in the pursuit of profits. They don't really care about anything else. I mean, that's every industry now. But that doesn't mean that the solution is to steal their profits and go back in time to a simpler time when we were all, farmers with stoop axes, stoop picks, picking cotton or, picking whatever. I mean, that's going to be automated anyway in the not too distant future. But you know what I'm saying? You can't turn the clock backward, right?
Right. And I just heard a lot of circular talk. I'm quite confused, really. Are you going to take our tax breaks away? Are you not? Are you, so I'm really, I think we know what they're going to do, but I think it's very clever how they just kind of talk around a subject.
Yeah, well,
so I would pay very close attention to what you're hearing, because if you've been doing better and you've had more money in your bank account with the tax cuts for the middle class, then you really do need to pay attention and listen closely to what they're saying.
Yeah, the average middle-class person's making $5,000 a year more. Now, certain other costs have gone up, of course, your medical care. Maybe we can see, that's a big consideration for all of us. Maybe we can see in Trump's second term that he rationalizes this medical system that we have.
Yes, I hope so. My goodness, I hope so.
There's a lot of people getting rich on it, but not the consumers. That's
not at all.
So we need to see something there. Let's hope for the best. Hey, Rose, it's been a pleasure having you on. Any questions or comments for Rose or myself? The email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. Where do you think the economy is heading? Do you think Trump will be reelected in 2020? Email kl@kerrylutz.com. The website is financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Twitter feed @KerryLutz. Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. If you haven't gotten our special report on gold storage, on buying precious metals at or below spot, or our cryptocurrency report, then please sign up for the newsletter. You will get it along with a lot more. Rose, hey, good luck on your quest. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll talk to you again.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.